All right, baby. We're live 30 seconds early, and we're waiting for Ed Bear Jr. to queue up. So, what we're doing here tonight is we are announcing a contest that Ed is running for emerging artists. So, Ed's going to give us all the details. He's going to talk about the terms and conditions. He is going to lay out the rules, who can participate. This is for emerging artists, all altar artists, actually. And he would like altarists who have been around the sorcery community are particularly encouraged to participate. And it's going to be a really big opportunity to win some exciting prizes. And first and foremost, get the mentorship and guidance from one legendary industry veteran. What's up, Too Fluent? All right, so people are queuing up in the chat. Looks like a few people have joined, and we're waiting for Ed. He promised an interesting introduction of some kind. I really don't know the details. I don't know how this is going to go down. I just know that Ed is going to enter in spectacular fashion right about now. All right, you're on, Ed. Here he is.
Oh, yeah. It's the glorious Mike Servati. Unbelievable that I'm here in the presence of greatness. But there's more greatness ahead. Why? Because you never fear when the beard's here. Because tonight, we're going to discuss the amazing awesomeness beyond personification that someone in the world will become the next intercontinental champion of altarists. And they will become the cream of the crop.
I had to do that, guys. I had
Nice,
to do
man.
that.
You're supposed to rip your shirt off.
Yeah, no. Those days are long gone.
Yeah, 20 years ago, right? We'll save that one for SCG Con.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no. Those days are so gone.
That's hilarious.
Oh, man. But
Well
anyways,
done.
yeah. I mean, I got my my Japanese dragon thing going on. I had to have a complimentary headgear because otherwise I'll blind all of you with my bald head. So, that's how we do things. We try to take care of everybody here. Anyways, thank you so much for having me, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited for this awesome contest. I started like 30 seconds earlier and kind of prefaced that this is to talk about your contest, the terms and conditions, who can participate, and the great opportunity that it is. Without getting into much of the details, I know you posted on your social media, on some of the sorcery groups, my Discord, various places, and I encourage some of the altar artists who have been doing sorcery altars on sorcery cards to tune in. They're all like, yeah, I can't wait to hear. This sounds awesome. And they'll either watch live and maybe chime in or watch back. But this is a great opportunity for artists. Why don't I turn it over to you to introduce how you came up with this idea and how this is going to work?
Sure. Well, you have been supporting the altar artists since I've known you. I mean, at least for the 2.5 years that we've been chatting. And, you had been talking about there's so many talented young people, especially, who hand paint, work on these miniature cards, and doing these altars. And it's so hard for them to get recognition that they deserve to have as being truly amazing, talented craftsmen and women that, do these miniature paintings. And they should be recognized not just because of alterations and modifying cards, but just as their talent alone, especially in the fact that they're hand painting. So when this whole thing came about with, Eric Curiosa and bringing back hand painted art to the gaming industry, when I was approached with it, I was blown away. Like, are you kidding me? I haven't seen that since, 1995. And the fact that it took off so well and that you've been hosting and celebrating it for the last 5 years, right?
Yep.
I knew, and because this is something I've been doing since I started teaching in 1982. I got right into teaching volunteer classes. I did seminars at colleges, the same ones that didn't want me in when I was coming out of high school,
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. It's like they all came back to me and says, hey, can you come into our senior class and talk to them about marketing and business and how do they succeed as an artist? How are they ever going to pay their student loans back? Blah, blah, blah. And now here we are in the age of AI, taking out so many of the creative jobs, both in visual arts and music and the whole bit. Yep. So, the final frontier is really truly hand-painted craftsmanship. And we're seeing that with these minis, with these are altered art cards. And so game cards. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to do what I've always done, which is mentor and teach. You know, that's been 1982 on, man. I mean, I do exactly what I didn't have done for me. And when I got kicked out of our class in 9th grade, told this was a waste of time, and I'm a defiant child, said, nah, I don't think so. I'm doing it anyways. So I want to make sure that so many people that I have seen that deserve it, because they've put the time in, they've done the work, they've mastered their skill sets, whatever medium they chose, and they can deliver the product, and they're just not getting that outreach. They're not getting the platform to be able to get them connected, because it was always, especially in my day, you know, back in the 70s, 80s, the early days of analog, you know, it was always a club. You had to be in the clique or you didn't get nothing. And I was never in the clique. So I built my clique being the public. I built my audience. I went right direct to the public, and I started manufacturing. I went bypassed publishers, and then inevitably they came to me. And it was kind of funny how that works. So I have been mentoring and I guess kind of basically taking under my wing artists along the way over the last 40 years and bringing them into the marketplace, saying, here's what you've got to do. Now it's up to your diligence, your perseverance. And it's a tough job. It's chief cook and bottle washer. You've got to do it all, man. You can't just paint pretty pictures and really have good skill sets. You've got to know how to market. You've got to know how to be personable. You have to make sure that you nurture your audience. You have to know when to draw the line and go, hey, I'm not going to do this and I am going to do that. You know, there's so much to surviving the psychology of business, which is, even to this day for me, after 47 years, always challenging. And so real experience, real contacts, real connections. So like, I'm thinking to myself, what can I do here? We've got these young people and all ages getting into hand craftsmanship more than ever now, because they're looking at the reality of AI. Just publishing and getting a job with a publisher is like far and few between. It's like a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
So I've been telling all these young kids that have come into my Renaissance Fair galleries and whatnot, you got to get that old model is gone. Don't even think about that. Don't waste your time and energy and all this effort pounding on doors of someone that's, you know, look, man, there's too many, supply and demand, right? You got one publisher, there's hundreds of thousands of young people that are talented. And maybe out of that, there's 10% that can deliver the product in hand-painted work. But there's not a lot of options. What do we got? 1 or 2 companies willing to do hand-painted work? So, yeah. And all of them are now, including Hasbro, obviously, going full bore on AI. Anything they can do to cut out the art, cut out the payments to the artists, you know, cut the royalties, whatever they can do to trim that budget, keep those stock options higher. You know, that's what they're looking to do. So that mindset has to go. You are now the company, you, the artist, you're the company, you're the business. You have to nurture and cultivate your own audiences. You've got to build your own IP, your own brand. And that's what I specialize in. You don't see me doing fan art, which is really just copyright knockoff anyways, unless you're doing parody and satire. I don't waste, and you know what? That's a legit thing. If you can come up with something that's funny, that takes already existing IPs and make it parody, great, good for you. Mad Comics did it. Cracked Magazine did it, you know? So but that's like, you got to look at what options are out there. And one of the things that I've done is I developed my own brand. I created storylines. And then I mean, they weren't connected with Marvel, Disney, or some major IP. I had my gallery shops. I went to conventions and I told my stories. And people started to fall in love with my artwork and didn't care that it wasn't associated with some big label name or some, you know, big book publishing thing. And they thought to themselves, like, I don't care. I'm into this. I'm developing it. And then every year I would come out with a new edition of it, an extension of the story. And they get hooked. And now I got 25, 30 years worth of these things that people are following. I get people every year saying, Ed, when are you going to come out with the alpha? You've already done the omega. And this is a drawing I did, and I have not done it yet, you know? So I teach and I basically mentor students and artists that coming in going, all right, well, how did you do this, Ed? What's the ins and outs of it? How did it make it happen? And I take them step by step. This is what I did. And when a lot of them, I mean, I have 100 students in the class, maybe 2 or 3 of them will be willing to put the effort and the energy in at the end of the day, or even the ability to do it, you know? And then that's when they realize, okay, I have to be realistic about myself. I may not be right for that. And so, but no one is going to have an opportunity if they don't get seen. And it requires, in my opinion, and this is something that I believe all of my contemporaries in my age group in their 60s who had been here since the late 70s, I think we should have been, and I didn't see it when I was young, but there should have been more than just the club taking care of each other in the small little niche group. It should have been every one of the artists who have come into their own, have made a career, however they've done it, should have been sharing that knowledge, should have been spreading that out, giving the information out. The fact that I heard, and I used to get this all the time, people used to say, you know, you're really taking a big risk here. You're flooding the market. If you keep bringing in new students, or you start spreading trade secrets away and all this other crap. And, you know, I was like, then you're pretty darn insecure about your work if you are threatened by up and coming talent coming into the picture. We all have unique styles and unique interpretations and presentations. We are a full package. It's not just our end result and the pretty pictures we do. It's also who we are, the stories we tell, the interactions with the clients. And so I look at it like that's probably the biggest reason why they had so much fear, was they didn't have that the rest of the package. And they were so dependent on publishers and that little teeny groups, you know, the little teeny book publisher groups. So I go out, I get out of that, and I said, nah, you guys can do this without them. And I mean, I'm the living proof. I mean, I'm extremely successful at what I do. I have multiple different businesses between automotive and illustration and licensing, you know, and it's like none of my stuff is still hand painted. I've been licensing to all these tech and digital companies that do cell phones and laptops and everything else, hand painted work. I mean, who does that, right?
Yeah. Wow.
I am the case study for anything is possible, and you should be able to do it. Don't ever let anyone tell you you can't. So I thought, these artistic interpretations of cards, right? These altering of cards, these altar paintings, especially with the sorcery cards, because of the format they're in. You know, it's a full card of art with just the text box and the title and a couple of symbols on the top. You get a lot of material. You get a lot of art space that you can work on. And I've been following several, probably 24 to 50 different altar artists that are literally doing nothing but altering. And they're making a good living doing it, you know? And I've been watching them, and I'm saying, you know, these guys have talent. They probably have a portfolio that can take them into a much bigger industry, licensing, for instance, getting their imaging on different products. But again, you got to own your own IP. And a lot of these altering images are the artist's own stuff, you know, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity with the popularity of Dragonlord, both the FOMO, the hatred for not being available, and also just the fact that they kind of loved it. You know, they're like, this is so cool. How many people I hear every day say, oh, that was such a vintage retro thing, you know? Yeah. But while we have this attention to it and my storyline and my work, I thought, hey, this is a great opportunity to ride that coattail and find a way to take all of these potential contestants that will submit one piece that I will celebrate and promote and post among my collectors, which I have about 30,000 roughly on my social media across all of them, and also my mailing list, which is 14,000. And then, you know, every single person that enters this contest is going to be showcased, and I want their contact information, whatever they go by. Website, Facebook, Instagram, you know, whatever they want to be able to be out, you know, reached out to by a potential buyer. I have a huge database of original art collectors and buyers. You know, that's why I've been able to do so well without depending on anybody, you know, to sell my originals. And it's always been a huge percentage of my income, mainly because nobody was doing it for the last 20 years. They all went digital, you know, so less art out there. Now, all of a sudden we've got more out there, and there's also a whole new generation, you know, in their late 30s to early 40s who are like, hey, I got a little money. I would love a piece of what I remember as a child, the tail end of that era, you know, the late 90s and early 2000s. And I'd love to be able to get that resurrected. And I think that's what we're in, thank God. I always said what's old is going to be new, and Renaissance is going to happen again. So I figure, look, this is an opportunity for me to use my platform to get my collectors involved, to expand whoever's out there that especially new and up and coming talent that you know so much about. I mean, you have a huge list yourself of altarists that have come to you and that you've been connected with. And I just think it'd be a great idea to have it. And I thought, hey, you know, the $500 for art supplies is the smallest thing of the whole damn contest. The big deal is, first and foremost, you're going to get me to make connections for you. I'm going to ask beyond just the one card. I want complete portfolios. I want to see everything that this artist does. So the winner is going to get a complete portfolio review. That portfolio is going to be packaged in a way that I can present to my agent. And the different companies that I have worked with over the years, they take recommendations because they know I'm not blowing smoke here. You better have the goods for me to make a referral for you. So I'm looking for somebody that I can do that. I want to see that quality in the unique interpretation, the very transformative nature of whatever it is that they select out of my 13 cards, and come up with something that's not only unique, but that is well executed, done fantastic in such a way that is just brings you in. It captures the imagination of people looking. But I also want to see the rest of the portfolio. And then also all of the contestants, whether they are the winner or not, I'm going to be taking a look at that. And I'm going to say, guys, I want to see your portfolio. Because what I've always done is promote and try to find a way to help these artists get into more of a marketing scenario where they can have their art make money for them without having to work the hard way, So every piece they do in their portfolio, it might be applicable. And then I may say, hey, look, we've got X amount of jigsaw puzzle companies that are looking for the following imaging. I will present you to my licensing rep. But if my licensing rep doesn't like you, or for some reason it doesn't fit whatever they've got going on right now, I might have, because I work with my licensing rep, which is fantastic. And I also go direct with my own licensing deals in many different venues that my rep doesn't deal with. So I have a lot of outlets. I can forward that information out. I have connections to a variety of different shows and conventions. And I also have a huge list of manufacturers that can produce any product under the sun. I mean, I'm always producing stuff, right? In between flags and blankets and T-shirts and all this other stuff. And a lot of those companies license. So they look for art that's up and coming, that's new. So the first step, can we get somebody who really can look at my art in the Dragonlord set and pick out of the 13 cards, an image that they think they can come up with a totally different, unique interpretation, but that's aligned with the meaning of the card, add an item is an electrical dragon, she commands power and electricity. So how do you reinterpret that? How is some artist going to do that and make that transformative? And so that's what I'm kind of looking for. And the one that does that in the most unique, the most spectacular, and mastery of the medium and crafts is going to get the selection. They're going to be the one that is going to be the winner. And so I really just think this is an opportunity for all of these artists who have already been doing probably very well with their own little niche market of alterations and doing altered cards, but to get beyond that. So they can actually sustain themselves making a living. And this is whether it's Europe or whatever. The people who are involved that I'm going to be selecting, the 9 people that are going to be doing the evaluation, because we're obviously going to do our best to be objective as possible. Now, what does objective mean? Objective means here's your mission. Your mission was to come up with a transformative, unique interpretation of the character. So everyone's going to look and go, okay, here's what Ed did. This is what this person did. Second thing is, what's the medium? Now, it's got to be, we call it representational art as the formal term, right? The academic term. What does that mean? It means it's not abstract. It can be surrealistic, but it has to be illustrative, meaning it has to represent. I have to be able to see and understand what it is. We want to get away from that entirely. I want to evoke an emotion and stay on the side of the fence or the lane that's illustrative. You're illustrating something, so you're directing what the person is supposed to see. So that's the first thing I want to say is, like, I know a lot of I've already had some inquiries about that. It's like, well, aren't you discriminating against the those of us that do abstract interpretations? Like, no, because it's not discrimination. That's not what it is. And if you provide me an abstract image, if this was about abstract, I couldn't get you any licensing. I couldn't get you any marketing, because the companies and the things that I can do that I've made my career on have nothing to do with abstract. So
okay. And it's supposed to tell a story. I mean, it's on a card that has a game mechanic and a title, so that makes sense to make it thematically fitting.
Yes.
But
yes.
Hey, one thing you touched on there that I really resonated with, so as you mentioned, I've been working with these altarists for the past few years, and a lot of them, as you say, like, pretty much specialize in altars, right? And a lot of them are wanting to do more and can use that mentorship to figure out how to take the next step. So some have started to do personal works and offered original paintings, and there's been interest in that around the sorcery community. But to take it to a whole new level of how to market in other industries potentially, or really, start doing the full scale art and find licensors, or how to like there's so many options too that you do with products, right? Like all kinds of
I have
products.
over 100 products right now, all
Right.
100
Yeah, that's
different
unbelievable.
types of products.
So just the logistics of how you start that, the manufacturers you use, how do you sell it on a website or,
a lot of
you know,
stuff.
through other means in a retail store. You've done it all. And I also like that you've been doing this for decades and the game's kind of changed, right? Like pre-internet, you had to show up at events, you had to show up in person, get your name out there. Now you do a lot of that. You go to a lot of events and the fairs and all that, but there's also the whole social media aspect of leveraging all the platforms and building that clientele that you have. So you got a lot to offer. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I mean, I it's evolving all the time. And
Mhm.
so I've had to keep up with it. And
Yep.
I'm looking at, okay, here's the recipe that worked. You know, every time I go through, all right, why is an image a popular image and why has it been successful at licensing right now? Why is it that most companies are gravitating to that image? And there is specific mechanics behind that. There is reasons for why a company will go after a certain image. Everything from the color scheme that happens to be aligned with fashion in the industry at that time. I mean, it's like there's a psychology between colors. Certain colors are more popular and gravitate to during times of conflict and strife, as opposed to good times. It's amazing. And you know, there are licensing shows, trade shows, that go through all of this. They actually discuss this. That's what companies do. They have think tanks that sit down and they go, okay, here's what we need this year. And what I see too much of is people trying to mimic or plagiarize or otherwise, you know, ride the coattail of something that's already there. And by the time you've done that, unless you're AI and you're knocking something out so quick, it doesn't matter. You ride the tail end and get out. You're not going to have anything that's unique, that's going to be establishing a brand of your own IP or your own look and feel. And so, and worse than that, you know, no company is going to come to you if they think they can get what you've just done from somebody else.
Sure.
You know, that's the flea market mentality. Let me just knock off or come as close as I can and call it fan art and then sell that. Well, that's going to keep you pigeonholed forever. You're never going to get out of that. You're never going to break into your own, be a brand of your own. And you're never going to wind up with a Dragonlord mini set. That's the bottom. You know?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. You got to find your own stylistic identity. There's a lot of artists that do like a Frazetta style or a Boris style, especially in the fantasy TCG genre. You don't want to get pigeonholed. But, you know, the great thing, I think what we love most, the altarists that are most successful are the ones that do have their own style. Same with sorcery artists. You know, there's a whole breadth of vastly different styles, and they all offer something different, right?
Yeah.
And that's what Eric looked for. I mean, as one case in point, right, of many. But
yeah, diversity, variety.
Yeah, the diversity is key. Yep.
Yeah, that is so important. Now licensing companies, when you're trying to figure out what products are going to sell this year versus not, there is the connection, the equation of, can you show that you have a following for the product or the image you're showing? You know, if you're trying to sell a company on a puzzle, you got to bring the goods. You got to say, look, here's why. It's because look at how many people liked this. Take a look at my social media likes, or how many units I've sold. You know, you do have to come in with some facts. You got to bring, you know, you've got to be able to prove to these companies who don't really have a clue to what's going on. They're trying also with their think tanks to figure out what's hot and what's not. But there goes the information. This is where I have for decades. I mean, I've been licensing since, '86. So there's so many, and it's evolved, and I have that information and I have those contacts. And at the very least, whoever does get selected and wins the contest will basically get the full package of all of that. And then I leave it up to them at that point. It's like, you got to follow up with this. You got to make this happen. You have got all the contacts now. Here's what you have to do. And there is a formula, absolutely a formula to the success of it. I know, because whenever I veer off the formula, which is usually when I want to do something for me, it's not what the public wants. It's not what the licensing wants. And so, you know, it's like, I recognize that. And there's other things too. People, a lot of artists, young artists will think, you know, I don't understand this. I worked my butt off on this. This was my best piece I've ever done. And it's my new benchmark and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it could be. I have had a lot of perfectly executed pieces that are simply boring, that don't connect with the audience. And they're cool to me. And they may be my next benchmark technically in my skill set. And they may be an interesting subject for me, but it's not for everybody else. So there's such a different approach to when you're illustrating for marketing and for business and for licensing. and so forth. So with the
Hmm.
altering, you know, doing
Okay.
hand painted work and doing these unique interpretations, I do have a ton of collectors that I can't even get to them. I'm constantly pushing work off to my students or whatever. These collectors will be involved in looking at what you do. So, which is another reason why I emphasized in my rules that are on my website now, which, by the way, I don't know if you posted this, Mike, the website.
Yeah, no.
Why don't you do that? Because I can't do that in your comments, as you know. But it's this. Let's see if you got that. Is that backwards or?
No. That looks.
Okay.
Is that the same link you sent me earlier? I'm going to copy it.
It should be. So it's edbeardjr.com/alter-contest. That's on my website. That's the final formal, all of the legal lingo, blah, blah, blah. But it also very clearly emphasizes if you're in the domestic US, there's no excuse to not get an actual Dragonlord card. They're $10 and under, and you'd be a fool not to, because if you don't and you do a proxy when you don't have to, then you've just lost a massive sale, because so many of my collectors are going to be waiting with bated breath to see what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And so this is a chance not only to sell this thing, but also to get yourself exposed to on a regular basis. You know, all these collectors who are like, yeah, man, I saw what you did on Ed's platform. That was cool. I'd love to. And you're going to wind up basically tagging on with all my collectors. So
yeah.
You know, that's what my goal is.
It's really cool that you're supportive of this, because I've heard like a mixed bag from artists. Some are cynical about alters, and I don't know if it's like you said earlier that they don't like the competition. They kind of want to like keep their trade secrets to themselves, or more so, we've talked about how there's, in our opinion, you and I and probably many others, there's a right way to do an alter and a wrong way, right? And the right way is to reimagine the entire concept in your own vision, use the whole canvas of the card, cover the original artist's name. Like the worst is like when they leave the original artist's name and just add these little accents around the art and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But let me let you talk about that and say, because this is part of the rules too, right? They need to get this right and do this.
Properly. Well, yeah, and because they are sorcery cards and they are Dragonlord cards, it's pretty straightforward. The design of that card with the very small text box and the name up top, it doesn't lend itself like Magic the Gathering did to this bogus
there's no border to extend and whatnot.
There's no. So what I and many of us had that were the original creators of old school Magic cards didn't like about the first wave of alter artists was that there was no distinguishable reality of when the art that was originally done by one guy, me, and then the person that continued it on off that outside of that box. These extended border crap things, which is really, oh man, it's disingenuous at the very least. But truthfully, it violates the moral rights of an artist. Now, look up under legal terminology, under copyright law, what is moral rights? Well, moral rights has to do with reputation, not creating confusion in the marketplace. I don't know, man. He kind of went over. I don't know what's Ed's and what's not, because he's repainted half of it, but he left some of it. Yeah. It's like hijacking someone else's success in painting. If you're going to do an alter, do it from scratch, do it your own way, completely unique. And that was the thing that, you know, we had problems with, but that cost, God, I'll never forget. That was back in the days in the mid 2000s when we had conceptart.org, you know, and a few other, oh God, I can't even remember the websites, but man, oh yeah, I had like, I don't know, 10,000 negative responses. I got so many people in an uproar, all these wannabe, you know, alter artists that were like bitching about, oh my God, I can't believe he doesn't like what we're doing. Yeah, it's because you're not doing your own unique thing. And then you're turning around, you're leaving my name at the bottom, you're putting it on eBay saying Birds of Paradise, Ed Beard Jr., alter, or Nicol Bolas, you know, because you're using the popularity of the card and the name, and then my name. If it wasn't that, if you were so good at what you did, then just cover all of my stuff, including my name. You can leave the company's name, Nicol Bolas or Birds of Paradise, just like in the Dragonlord set. You know, you leave the names, you leave the text. That's not my stuff. That's well, in the case of this, the titles are mine, but I'm not worried about that. But in Magic, they weren't my names. I didn't own the titles, you know. And it's like, if they could have just done it right, but instead they gave resistance. You know, they went, we'll do whatever we want, because you were trying to ride coattails of another artist's popularity. You were leaving some of the art of the original artist and then doing the extensions. And that's just disingenuous.
Yeah, I've seen that in some games that I'm less familiar with, and unless I go and reference the original card, I can't tell like what's a border extension versus
Because they
aspects of
paint
the
right
original
over it.
art. But
Yeah, they
you're
blend
right.
it in, and
Yep.
they sometimes hack the hell out of it. It's really bad, some of the stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then there was the issues of, you leaving a name on, if you're leaving a name of the original artist on there, now you're starting to do nudity and other kinds of pornographic stuff, which was very rampant in the early 2000s. So these are that was why Wizards actually stepped in on the thing, because they were selling stuff that was way too risque, anime style, but yet it would, and then you're going to leave and you're going to put the title again, because you knew my name got hits when it said Ed Beard Jr.'s Nicol Bolas or whatever, OG. I mean, that's wrong. And so this is what I love about the Dragonlord and sorcery in general. You don't have that. I have not personally, now maybe I'm wrong, but I have not seen any altar artist that has worked on sorcery cards done anything except completely paint over the cards. I mean, I've just not seen it, which is great, because that's the way it should be done, guys.
Right.
The only thing that should be left of the original card should be the text box, the title, and the symbols, and that's it.
Yeah, and honestly, that's in the best interest of the artist too. They want to make very clear what is their own artwork as well, right? Reimagine the entire thing. That's in everybody's best interest. It's funny, like some of these altarists are so good that like people think they're legitimate printed proxy cards. They can't even, like, when you just show an image, right? When you see it in your hand, sometimes you can see the brush strokes a little bit, but even then, some people are like, "Is that a printed card? Like, what is that?"
It's
There's
amazing.
like some amazing talent out there, and
There is.
I would love to see more take it to the full size canvas. That's really exciting too.
Yeah. And we have seen some of them actually move on to working for sorcery and other companies.
Yeah.
So now let me talk to that as well. So regarding one of the things I'm not going to listen to or be influenced by in any way, shape, and form, we're going to be approaching this, the 9 individuals we're going to be it's either going to be 7 or 9. It's an odd number. But whoever gets involved, they're going to be of diversified interests, because I know how they collect, right? And then we're going to be looking at it from I don't care if the submission comes from Boris Vallejo, or some other massively, top of the line mega artist. I don't care. It doesn't matter, because I have seen amateurs come in that have never been published and do work that blows the old school guys away, that has blown away the established artists. So I don't care, and I'm not going to listen. And so, like, I can't take any recommendations from you, Mike. I'm not looking at any. I know who you've repped a lot with. None of that matters to me, and none of that's going to matter to my team. We're all going to basically be ignorant to all of it. We're going to look at it. The other thing too is I'm not looking for photorealism. I'm not to say that if I get something that's photorealistic and it's that impressively unique, and that the way in which it's done is so transformative, it's a winner. But it's not about, this has got to be so photorealistic. No, in fact, I'm excited to see black and white pen and ink. I'm excited to see watercolor wash, oil, acrylic. I want to see diversity. I mean, one of the things that I loved about sorcery when I first started to look at the artists while I was working on Dragonlord, I was seeing all of the interesting ways in which the ethnicity of the artist was being infused into their style and technique. Gadu, right? That's an example. So much of that is crucial. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, and I really appreciate you hosting this. So they can hear me to say, okay, Ed's known for he does illustrative work, but is that what he's going to be favoring? No, I'm not. You know what I'm going to be looking personally, the part that I'm handling in the judging is going to be, is it transformative? Is it uniquely different than mine? One. Then the objective aspects. Depends on what the intent is. If this thing if it's presented to me as a stylized, surrealistic approach, then proportions and anatomical accuracy is no longer a factor, right? Because it's not meant to be that way. If it's comic book style, then it's designed to look that way. I'll be looking for continuity. I'll be looking for structure, composition, balance, light and shade. I'm going to be looking at all those technical, objective evaluations for the medium and technique that it was designed with. I've worked in pen and ink, watercolor, oils, automotive airbrush. I've worked in all the mediums. So I generally know this is what it was meant to be. And it's sometimes the mixed medium can even be more astounding and more impressive, because now we see certain attributes of the image which were done, like okay, the water in the background is done with watercolor, but the main character, because it wanted to have its punched out opacity, is using acrylic. I mean, whatever the artist decides to do, we're going to calculate all of that in. Obviously, the more complex, the more intricately detailed, the more mastery of a medium that someone had to execute to make it happen, that's going to weigh heavy too.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, if all you've got is all that perfection, but the subject is boring, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
I'm looking for the total package. We are all looking for the total package. What we expect from the 7 to 9 so-called objective viewers is subjective input, right? They're going to be coming and going, okay, I normally collect high fantasy and I love photoreal. I love the oil painted look. I do like a painterly look. I don't like an illustrative look. The next judge is going to be one that wants, I love pen and ink work. I love Albrecht Dürer. I love this kind of thing. So we're going to have all of these. That's what I'm fortunate that I have these collectors, right?
Yeah,
so
awesome.
I have this diverse thing to pick from, hundreds of them to pick from.
Yeah.
And so that's going to give me a pretty wide variety. And then many of them will be looking at this going, we weren't expecting that. Because the only guidance I'm giving everybody is transformative and unique. Yeah. Well, now you say that, everyone's going to be now out of their normal comfort box, out of their wheelhouse, and are looking at stuff in, I would never have thought of it that way. That's going to be big. That's going to be a heavy weight towards the judging evaluation and all that. But again, that's the one person that wins. That doesn't change the fact that every single submission is going to get looked at and then be hosted on my different social media sites, my website. I'm going to basically have a gallery on my own website that's going to be, here are all the images of the contestants. Here's their contact info. So there's an opportunity. This is like, mainly, guys, it's going to be the face of your work that's presented to a huge audience, to the world. This is what I can do. And in it specifically in altering. So
yeah, I got a couple good questions here. So are they limited to one entry per person, or can they submit several in different styles?
Just one. Yep, that's on that website link. Did you put that link up?
I posted the link, yeah.
Good.
And I don't know if they've had a chance to read it. They're probably listening.
Yeah.
But
so
the other one is, can they paint on multiple cards, or you just want it on one single card? You know how some people do like a triptych, or like
I appreciate, see, now that's not something we thought about, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, one card guy. One entry, card. One card. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is cool. But now all of a sudden we're uneven on the playing field. We can't.
Yeah, you gotta have a level playing field. That's what I'm thinking too. That sounds good.
Yep.
Okay. And then someone asked here, are you looking for high fantasy theme, or what if you did sci-fi? Pretty open-ended in that regard.
I'm not. Yeah. Look, the only guidance that we gave in those instructions is unique and transformative. So transformative means a different interpretation. So let me think here. All right. So I don't know. We got the Harbinger of Fire here, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody says, I'm going to do this Harbinger of Fire, it's like, this is this demon fire dragon. They may turn that into stained glass and do a stained glass image look of it in watercolor. I'm just giving one example.
Yeah.
They may take that and make that the alien critter. I mean, if you want to talk sci-fi, they may make it a robotic.
Yeah.
A punk, like a steampunk version. I'm just throwing ideas.
Sure.
But no, the more bizarre and the more different and unique, the better. It obviously has to connect with the element of fire,
Right.
So yeah, man, it's whatever anyone wants to do. I'm not directing any of that. I'm not trying to influence anyone to do anything other than what they come up with. This is all about that conceptual creativity, because so many companies, especially in licensing, oh man, they want you to come up with something that has a subject that is existing in the marketplace that people are into, wolves, for instance, wolves and dragons, right? But how are you going to be able to do it so that it's unique and different than anything else out there? Because the last thing a company wants is something that another company already has. They want to hold the market by, the only reason they're willing to pay you a licensing fee is because they want some level of exclusivity, if they can get it. And at the very least, something, even if they're not exclusive with you, they want at least the opportunity to hit the market with something nobody else has. So that the attention is there. And this all gets back to the whole purpose of the success of an artist's career is, how do you create your own brand and develop your own style and technique? And that's what I would like to see with all these entries. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just skimming the rules here. So you wanted submissions by December 1st. So they got they got a couple months here, a little over 2 months.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, and you can send it. You can submit it to me in various ways. Some of these folks are connected with me on Facebook, and if they're not, do it. You can send a private message, DM me. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send I'll contact them and I'll say, hey, here's my website email. Please send me a WeTransfer with a decent resolution 72 DPI web file. And so I'm going to ask for two things. I'm going to ask for a file that we can see the image without obstruction. In other words, without a watermark. And then we want one that has a watermark of the artist's choice. It's very important, guys, especially with AI scraping everything. Make sure you put a watermark over it that isn't too obstructive, but is still a pain in the butt for AI. At least it'll help a little bit. So I don't want to post anything on any social media once that time comes after December 1st, when we start doing when we're done with the judging and we say, here we have it, here's what's been submitted. I'd like to have the watermark version for everybody. So I will send out my contact info, and then the files are probably going to be no more than 1 megabyte anyways. We're looking at something that might be 600 by maybe 1,000 or 1,200 pixel. Not it doesn't have to be too big, but you want something that when it's on someone's screen takes the top to bottom like 700 pixels high. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, it sounds exciting. Like you say, I think the best part, well, win or lose, their work is going to get showcased everywhere. So
yeah, and it's a win.
Everybody just give it a shot. I mean, you never know. If you win, that's amazing. Ed's going to give you like unbelievable advice in many different ways like you discussed. But
500 smackers you can go buy some real art supplies with.
Yeah, they'll tell you which ones to get too. You can ask them which paints to use, what kind of materials, and all that. But
also, I want to emphasize this too.
Yeah.
We're going to do honorable mentions. There's no prizes with that, but there's honorable mentions, and those honorable mentions are going to be identifying why we really thought this was cool, and we'll talk about that. So you do not have to be a professional altarist that's already been working in the industry. In fact, I am really hoping we see a lot of new, fresh, out of the gate. Here's like my first 10 or 15 altars I've ever done. This is my fifth or sixth altar that I've ever done. And I'm just really happy with it because that's going to get an acknowledgement. That's going to be an honorable mention. If somebody is 12 years, that's the other thing. I didn't get a chance to review the law and legal aspects of, can the contestants be under 18? I honestly don't have that answer. Someone asked me that, and I wished I had looked up. I had a chance to talk to my attorney about it, but I don't know. Every country is different about this kind of stuff. I believe it's because I'm basically just simply giving a cash, not a cash, but a credit to like a gift card for art supplies and a product which is a prize. It's not like anyone's paying to enter. This is not like a raffle. So I don't think there are any laws in place that prevent a minor from doing it. However, an adult will have to agree to the terms and conditions if for some reason some savant genius kid submits to me and they're under 18, which can happen. So but that just means at that time we'll have to go through the parents for that. And so that's what I had to do for my students in my class too. Anybody that was under 18 that we had to have parental or guardianship sign off on it. But I want to encourage young people to get into it too. I mean, the more the merrier. Why not? This is a chance for every single person to get put on my website, which I get about, I don't know, 10, 12,000 hits a day. It's a lot. And then we hit 30,000 postcards alone given out at any of our Ren fairs. And those people are hitting us right now, about 4,000 to 5,000 every weekend. So that's a lot of people that are going to be exposed to your work. And I cannot emphasize how important that is. Everyone is a winner who participates in this. Everyone is a winner because you cannot go. Also, you keep the work. You're not sending it to me. So you can imagine this. You're doing this piece of artwork. Here's another thing. One person had asked, Does it matter that I showcase or have myself, videoed while I'm doing it, or promote that I'm doing it in the meantime, and say, hey, to my collectors that I might be already nurturing, and say, this is going to be one of the pieces I'm submitting? Absolutely, go for it. In fact, that's the whole point. Promotion, marketing yourself. So talk about it all you want. It's not going to change us. It's not going to change our opinion. If we, I'll give you an example. Say one of the artists has 100,000 followers, and they all love this altar that they've been doing for this contest, and they submit it to us. That is absolutely not going to matter to us at all. It's not going to be a negative, but it is not going to be a factor. I'm not going to be, none of us will be looking, and the judges will actually be told this. No one is to look at anyone that is entered portfolio or other stuff. They are to be blind. No following of anybody until this contest is over.
Yeah.
So that's to try to maintain that ambiguity. I don't want to know what you have. I don't know. I don't care. And I don't care. Look, guys, at the end of the day, all of this, as objective as I can make it, even if it is composition and shadowing and highlight and use of medium, it's going to be subjective to some extent. What is the subjective nature of it? The unique transformative aspect, which is a personal opinion. That's just for number one prize. That's the top prize thing. But everybody else, you're going to get promoted. Everyone's going to see your work.
Yep. Yeah. And here's a good one. Someone asked, can some of the art go over to text box or title box as long as the text can still be read? Have you seen people do that?
I have not seen anyone do that, but I don't know. I mean, is it done?
Honestly, I've seen all kinds of different things, decorative things around a text box, or some of these like border breaking concepts where there's like a hand that goes over the box or something, some aspect.
Oh,
right?
I get you. I get you. Sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. Like that. They did. I know exactly what you're talking about. Magic the Gathering did Unglued and Unhinged, and they had that actually, those piece. I did one of those where my painting actually extended beyond. Yeah. Gotcha. No, that's fine. I mean, hey, that's very creative. If you do
it's unique and creative. Yeah.
What I wouldn't want to see is someone's accidental brush strokes, where they were sloppy. We're not looking for that, obviously. But if it's intentional and it's deliberate, then go for it. Because as long as it's intentional, it's part of the creative process.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Cool. All right, we got some good questions. I mean, it's a great opportunity. Again, I encourage anybody to do it just to get your work shown across Ed's vast network of collectors and enthusiasts and fans. It's amazing, man. I really commend you for doing it too and helping others. That's what it's all about. I mean, that's why I kind of got into this too. I'm really passionate about helping the artists. So I love that you're doing that. I love seeing artists help other artists. I see that a lot in sorcery. It's a really collegial artist group. There's I literally cannot name one artist that has been competitive with another artist. They're all very supportive and kind of, it feels like a family, like everybody's in it together. And you're really leading by example with this contest is next level. Offering your time and the prizes, but really the gift of your time and mentorship is invaluable. And just showcasing their work. You don't have to do that.
That is the big thing. So, that being able to have that work being promoted and showcased to all of my collectors and my fan base that are loving this kind of stuff. They already, oh my God, like I said, hundreds of inquiries about wanting me to do altars, and I can't do them. So it's like, I have the people, they've come to me for decades, so these people are going to be seeing, all my Patreon members are going to see it, guys. You probably will pick up Patreon members from this. Yeah. So, and by the way, also, this is not to suggest that everyone else that submits can't contact me, even if they didn't win, and say, hey, Ed, I'm serious. I got a portfolio. Here's what I've done. If you merit recognition because you've worked your butt off and you're presenting a serious portfolio, I'm going to forward that information for you. This is the top prize is it is the $500 and it is the box. And it is direct contacts from my manufacturer, which is not something I will normally give out, because it took 30 years to work that stuff. And also my manufacturers don't want to be flooded with people. Sure. I have to be very selective on who I refer to my manufacturers. They don't need, I have to screen the heck out of it. I can't take a chance. And with my own reputation with the company. So that is another huge thing,
Yep.
But read the rules and read the stipulations, the whole entire thing that's on that page on my website that's Mike has posted. You'll get everything you need to know. Let's not make this more complicated than it is, because it's not. It's just a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's just me, an old guy, looking to see what can I do to help some of these amazingly talented, gifted artists that are working in hand paint, something I didn't think would come back in my lifetime. You know, I was hopeful,
Yeah.
but to see it
I love it,
happen
man.
now.
Yeah. It's very exciting. People in the chat are saying they can't wait to see like what people do. Because we want to see new art every day. I think that's also like been the beautiful thing about people doing altars for sorcery. We got to wait a whole year in between sets. So every time we see new art, literally every day, as new altars or artist proofs come to light, is really exciting. And this is going to be really exciting to see like the intrigue. It feels like X Factor or American Idol or something, right? Like everyone's contesting and submitting, even though it's a little more casual and fun in a way, but like, yeah, like we're going to see tremendous talent or like a variety of styles and everyone's unique take on your 13 cards, which are amazing as they are, but it's always really cool to see someone else's interpretation as well.
Oh,
so,
man. And believe me, what's going to happen is someone's going to do some kick butt interpretation of one of my cards, whatever, you know, who knows which one. I mean, I'm just thinking, I can imagine the Earth Dragon is going to be one that people can do a lot of cool stuff with. But even the Cradle of Ethereum, I mean, the egg, you know, oh my God, there's so much stuff going on with that. So guys, I cannot emphasize more. If you do a kick butt altar and a card format and you get a bunch of people going, I love this. This is awesome. Guess what that means? That means you go out and get a nice 16 by 20 or an 18 by 24 canvas and you paint a full size version of that so you can make art prints and everything else.
Oh yeah.
You cannot use my titles, but you can rename it anything you want.
Yeah. And we've seen this open doors. I mean, Atlas Thorn's an altarist who was commissioned by Eric. Eric loves altars himself. There's 3 altarists that he commissioned for Alpha, and now Atlas is the 4th. But it opens doors, you know, just the visibility and this feels very sorcery, you know, like let's be creative, different, unique, and hand painted traditional. It's a homage to that. So again, kudos and thanks for doing this, and thanks for coming on.
You too, Mike. I mean, thank you for cultivating such an incredible audience. I mean, no one else was promoting sorcery artists that were doing altars like you. I mean, and you really did. You brought them, you kept bringing them out. And I truthfully, honestly, before you presented some of those artists to me and showed me how they were doing them, the only memory I had of altars was the hack jobs that I saw in the early 2000s, where they were, like I said, just extending borders and hijacking other artists' work, and not doing their whole unique, complete paint overs. And it put a bad taste in my mouth from it. But when I started seeing what was done with sorcery and the complete paint overs and these unique interpretations and the incredible, like almost Fabergé egg quality, details at such small levels, I mean, that's got to be recognized. And I do know, there's always a stigma, there's this thought of, well, it's just an altered card. It can never be worth as much as this. That's a load of crap, man. You know me, I get top dollar for my paintings on the back of cards, right? I don't do altars, but I do the paintings on the back of cards. And there is absolutely no reason why, just because it's tiny, it shouldn't command the proper percentage of what would be a big piece. So we're going to change that. That's what my goal is. My goal is to get so many of these artists that have they've been afraid to hop over into the big painting work, to do bigger pieces and sell those because they've been stuck in a market where the buyers only have so much. They're only going to put up to maybe a grand for a piece. Now, all of a sudden, you guys are going to find yourselves in a different market. This little card is going to be nothing more than a preliminary sketch, like a color comp for what will be a painting, because you're going to have collectors who are like, no, I'm used to dishing out $6,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for a piece. That market exists. The problem is so many of my own fellow contemporaries will not share it. It's a click. They want to keep it to themselves. And it's just, it's such a joke. It's like, there's no reason for that. There's so many people out there, millions of people who love this art form, would love to collect your work. But if you stick to just doing the altars and only in the altar world, you won't break out of that. And that's my hope, is to break them out of it, celebrate the altering art, but take them beyond that and see how we can do it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, you made quite an entrance. Everyone was calling you Dragonlord Ed Savage. So you got a new alias. But we've been talking about
oh yeah. The beard is here. You are going to be the next intercontinental altarist champion of the world.
I love Randy, and it was just a classic. What a crazy, he was crazy.
I know, man. Yeah, what a personality. I love it.
Oh,
Larger than
yeah.
life. Yeah, well, I love when you come on. You've been on several times, and we've been talking about doing another one, like to kind of give a window into your Patreon. I won't spoil that too much, but maybe we'll do a collaboration on that so people can kind of see what your Patreon experience is like as you're working some of these art cards for Dragonlord. And
yeah, that's 200, roughly 200 commissions. That's
you
and
got
the
a lot
problem
of
for me
painting to
is
do.
I can't put the pen down. I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be doing these level 1s, and every
Right.
one of them is a level 2 to 3. Man, it's like I can't. Oh, but I got to put that
Yeah,
extra
you don't wanna
highlight.
stop.
And that's really not good because I'm not going to give those away as level 1. So I'm like I'm behind now. I need to get more level 1s going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am doing. It's pretty wild though. It's fun. But I'm mixing
Yeah.
it up too. You know, I'm doing that, and I've got a big painting I'm working on. So for those that are
Okay.
attending my Patreon, they're going to get to see from start to finish the drawing, the line work stage, the shadowing stage for the black and white sketch, which is really a drawing. I do a
Yeah.
very tight version, and it's going to be Artemis and Dritz in the Crystal Shard Tower. I have this license I've had since the 90s that I never used. I never created the painting. I waited because the movie was supposed to come out. You know, it just never did. And so I have one of my Patreon members commissioned it and says, Ed, let's get it done. I'm like, yep, let's do it. So I'm going to be doing this big painting, and that's going to be done in between doing the cards. And you get to see the very beginning, just like those that, you know, the folks that had watched all these paintings being done.
Yeah.
And so when I do that, I go, here's the first process. Here's what we do. We started off with this, and we add the midtones or highlights, or we build it from back to front, top to bottom. And I take people through, okay, here's why I'm doing this. This is why this works. And when they see the drawing process, a lot of them will ask me, well, you don't have any reference material. How the hell do you know where you're going? And I'll talk about it. Why do I know? Why do I'm being directed by the angles and the lines that I just did. And, you know, I'm comparing negative and positive space, and I know what my subject's got to be. It's just a matter of, is this working? And because I was never classically trained, you know, never went to school, I don't do thumbnails and, you know, loose sketching. I know visually what I want. I have that photographic memory, and I just pose the characters in my mind and then nail it. And so I teach that technique. You know, I say, look, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Every line has only one place it can really go in the right angle. So just like a puzzle, there's only one piece that can possibly fit in that one spot. So I teach that technique, and I talk about all the different, you know, memorization skill sets that I used to develop my library in my head, you know, and so it is pretty cool. It is a fun place and also we try to be funny, you know, we like,
it is good. It's experiential for sure. It's amazing. And to see it work is just great.
But Mike, you had I can't emphasize, thank you so much for what you have done. And you have done this with very little support. And so that's, you know, and you have persevered. You have thought about the greater good that you're doing for so many artists who would never have the exposure not for you. And that's something that we are both in that same boat. You know, I mean, you know, you're a younger person doing it. I'm an older guy doing it, but we're all doing the same thing. We're trying to preserve millions of years old technique and craft, but especially something that it's human, it's authentic. And we're in a time where so little of that is happening around us. It's all digital AI. So robotics, being human again, and recognizing people for their skill, and also recognizing there is, you know, creativity, art, music. There are certain tenets of every medium, but there is no absolute right or wrong, guys. There is what inspires someone, what hits them, you know, when they look at, go, whoa, this is fantastic. This led me on a story I didn't expect. So that's another thing I want to emphasize. There is no right or wrong to a submission that's sent. Like I said, black and white pen and ink, watercolor wash, gouache. I don't care what the medium is. It can be monochromatic. It can be full-blown neon colors. Whatever you guys want to do. I mean, just let it be striking, you know, and don't make it abstract. If it's abstract, it's way out of the line. And this has to be something you got to keep thinking, am I going to be able to market this? Am I going to be able to make this, you know, is this going to sell to a vast majority of people? So you're thinking all these things at once. You're thinking, okay, I want to make it unique. I want to make it mine. And I also want to make it something attractable to the masses. So that's the key to all the success that I've ever had. Is people say, well, don't you feel like you've never drawn anything for yourself? Bullshit. Every one of these designs was my storyline, my concept, my character, right?
Yep.
But even the publishing pieces I've ever done, you make it your own. Someone can say, Ed, I want a unicorn, but I got to do it Ed's way.
Right.
You know, or some kind of weird frog.
Yeah.
The frogs are popular, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, awesome, man. I love it.
Right.
So what last thing, where can people see you coming up? I know you're about to go on the road and then we'll see you at SCG Baltimore. What are you doing between now and then?
Yeah, so I leave on Wednesday morning, head to Michigan to close the Michigan Renaissance Festival. I'll be there for the final 3 days. It's a festival Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. So that's coming this weekend. So I'll be there to sign and do some doodles and entertain the young folk that is there. And I know there's a ton of sorcery players that come into Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, we've been getting, my daughter who's there managing right now, we've been getting hit with sorcery players every day. It's really amazing.
Really?
So
Wow.
the
That's
players
awesome.
from what I went 7 weeks ago when we first went there, we had 6. She
Yeah.
said those 6 spread the word and they've all been coming in. We've had like 20 to 30 regular coming in all the time. So that's good news. Then I leave right from Michigan. We pack that up. We take all that inventory that's left over, if there's any left over, and we bring it all the way down to Ohio. And I do the October, what is that? I think it's like the 4th, 5th or something. I will do the that weekend at the Ohio Renaissance Festival, where sadly with Cincinnati and Columbus, you'd think with big gaming environments, we don't have, there's like nobody that knows what sorcery is there. That's what's so odd. Just an interesting observation. You have Cincinnati, Columbus. The fair is right smack in between those two, about an hour. So it's an hour south on 71 from Columbus. The fair is an hour south, and it's about 45 to 50 minutes north of Cincinnati. These are both very culturally, powerful, and lots of gaming, lots of art. Obviously, Origins, was always at Columbus, Origins Game Fair. So, but yet we're not. It's so strange. It's all Magic the Gathering or related games,
Yeah.
But we're doing it. We're telling people about it. We've turned on since we've been there now 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's been every person that comes in has been given the full spiel on what sorcery is and how is it different and what's cool about it. And they have been turned on. But we need some help. We need some support in the Columbus and the Cincinnati area to get sorcery a little more on the map. So that much I can say. But then right after that, we come home. I'll be home on the 7th or 8th. I think I'll have time to do one more session of Patreon live. And then I go to I'll be hanging with you at SCG Baltimore, where they will have Dragonlord. Just so everyone knows, they'll have enough Dragonlord that justifies my attending. That's what I'm allowed to say.
Okay.
So because they're paying to have me down there, so they gotta sell. So there is that. Yeah. So we're gonna have fun there. I'm gonna be bringing everything. I'm gonna have my canvases there. I'm gonna have the coins. I'm gonna have my T-shirts there, the cool Kairos T-shirts and all that. So we're going to have a wide variety of art. I'm also going to have Magic the Gathering stuff. I'll have Nicol Bolas playmat, Birds of Paradise playmats. I'll have the Grid Dragonlord playmats. Those are due. I just got the email today. Those are coming in 2 weeks for the Grid playmat. So I'll have plenty of time for SCG Con.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's my. Oh, and then after that, I go to Descent. I just got the notice. Last night on Patreon, I said, looks like we weren't going to go to Steel City Con. Sure enough, this morning I get my notice. Ed, we'd love to have you as a guest at the Steel City Comic Con December 5th. So we're gonna have all our sorcery presentation at the Steel City Con in Monroeville, PA, the December 5th, 6th, and 7th, or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be the final show for the year. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Man, you're always on the road. It seems like I don't know how you get it done, and then you have like live Patreons in between. It's unbelievable. You're the hardest working guy in the business.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see you in Baltimore, and I can't wait to see a lot of sorcery fans and your fan base and everybody come out. It's going to be an awesome time for a nice weekend. So please do come to Baltimore. Yep. Also, if anybody has any additional questions, they can reach me on my Facebook, which is Ed Beard Jr. I think it says Dragonlord after that. Airbrush Artist Dragonlord. And then the other one is Fantasy Artist Ed Beard Jr., which is my other Facebook page, group page. Sure. They can go to my website and just fill out the email form, and just send me a quick message, and then I will respond, and then they'll have my email at that point. And just ask whatever questions they want. I mean, everything should be covered pretty much in that page on my website as far as rules and conditions and stuff. But like tonight, you had a question about a triptych. Who would have ever thought of that? So
So that's a great question. But yeah, I'm happy to answer those and get going, man. The bottom line is, and they're off. So grab your have paintbrush, we'll paint, get moving because you got a couple of months. But let me tell you, if you can get that painting done as ahead of schedule as soon as you can, then you've got time to promote it and market it and build up a little excitement for yourselves. No, it's not going to affect us, but it might help you. I mean, and then imagine you tell these people, hey man, we're doing this, and then you submit it to us. We put it up in our gallery. Now everybody's like, yeah. And then what happens? Well, what happens if you don't win? Now all your fan base can go, oh, that sucked that he didn't win, blah, blah, blah. And then they can cheer you on and hate on me. It's awesome, man. It's a win-win.
I like the way you think. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, man. We fully expect it all. We love to see that. I mean, come on, man. Awesome. I want to see fan bases for these artists get pissed off that their artist was not the winner, because that means you have loyalty. That means you have support, and that's golden. That's fantastic, guys. Look at everything. You got to look at it as a positive in these things, because they really are. I mean, we all want our kids to be the first place winner, right? I mean, it's that kind of
legitimately, if you participate, you're a winner in this. If you do nothing, you get nothing. That's how life works, right? You got to put yourself out there and take a chance. So everyone, please do.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Take care, man. Talk to you soon.